Our speaker this morning is Cole Bilotta. Cole is a 3-year boarding student from Fort Drum, New York. He plays varsity football, JV boys ice hockey,
and varsity boys lacrosse. He's the proud roommate of Colby Isabel. Cole.
Good morning and happy Veterans Day. Today is an important day for my family and I, as well as military families around the country and around the world. For those who might not know what Veterans Day is or what exactly we celebrate, Veterans Day is a day in which we honor the people who have served our nations and our nation's armed forces. I would like to take a moment to thank these brave men and women for their countless sacrifices and all they have done to ensure our safety and freedom. Without these sacrifices, I would not be up here today. For my chapel talk, I wanted to share and reflect on my unique experiences as a military child. My father has been serving in the United States military for over 21 years and is currently deployed overseas, fighting the global war on terrorism. As one can imagine, having a loved one in harm's way for an extended period of time is a hard thing to do. There are many other challenges that come with this lifestyle. However, I've come to realize that my experiences growing up in the military household have been more of an opportunity than a misfortune. Oftentimes, it is easy to look at the negative rather than sitting back and being appreciative of the positives that come out of the situation you are in. I moved across the country 8 separate times and currently live in Fort Drum, New York. One of the most difficult parts of being in a military family is having to pack up and move every 2 to 3 years. Every move means having to establish new relationships as well as starting over at new schools. It is a learning curve and difficult moving to areas in the country that are different from what you were used to. The biggest change in culture and area for me was moving from New York to Kansas. I was definitely nervous and took some time getting used to living in Kansas. However, it turned out to be one of my favorite places I've ever lived. Moving as often as we have, making new friends is oftentimes hard and creates social challenges. One of those challenges is earning a spot and finding a role on new sports teams, which is easier said than done. Oftentimes, athletes on these sports teams and students in established school systems have grown up together and have been friends their entire lives. Arriving as a new athlete and student trying to fit in with friend groups with lifelong bonds is not easy. In these situations, it feels easy to shut yourself off and not interrupt this already established dynamic. Sometimes, I did not feel like having to create friendships with people I would ultimately have to leave in 12 months. It's difficult saying goodbye to friends you've grown so close with over different moves right about the time a relationship flourishes. This was one of the most challenging aspects of growing up in a military family. As I've grown older, I realized that although a challenge, it is something I now know will prove to be an important skill set in my adult life, and I'm grateful for it. Furthermore, I am hopeful that my short time in someone's life was equally beneficial to them. I learned over the years that meeting people from all over the country and forming relationships has been a real gift. You learn a lot from meeting people from all walks of life, which all of you can relate to being students at Hill. I value the opportunity to make lots of lifelong friends across the country and as well as at Hill. Moving so often armed me with the people skills to feel comfortable engaging in casual conversation and solving problems when they arise. It has made each move a little bit easier and my transition from public school to Hill a little less stressful. Another challenge of growing up in a military home is having my father gone for an extended period of time and having to adjust to living with only one parent, requiring me to take on more responsibility in his absence. Stepping up and taking responsibility is something that I've proved to be a valuable trait in my life. Although it is difficult picking up slack in areas that my dad otherwise took care of when he is home, it is a valuable lesson in leadership that I'm grateful for. Whether it be in school, sports, or socially, there are always things that are hard people do not want to do. Stepping up and doing more, or the little extra, makes a big difference. Deployments overseas are often 9 to 12 months, so being separated from a parent for that long is also hard. My dad had been on multiple deployments to various combat zones and is currently overseas in a dangerous location. Anxiety that comes from having a loved one in harm's way is something you must learn to deal with and carry on, as he expects us all to. It makes my family and I sad that we cannot see him and talk to him as much as we would like, but we are extremely proud of his and others' service to this country. Whether you're a new student coming to the end of your first term, a student who's been here for 4 years and thinking about your next chapter, or someone in between, it is important to be open to new relationships you might encounter wherever you are. Understand that it may be difficult to open yourself up to something new and uncomfortable, and sometimes you may feel lost. This is a normal feeling, and chances are your new friends are feeling just as uneasy with you. There will be challenges in all of our lives. That is inevitable. It is imperative to look differently at challenging situations in our lives and look to grow from them. To wrap things up today, Veterans Day has a special place in my home and in my family. Every day, soldiers make the ultimate sacrifices to ensure our safety and freedom. Find a veteran and thank them. They are all around us, in the post office, grocery store, or even in line at Wawa. My experience is that most will just shrug it off unthanked, and as my father says, he's just doing his job. I'm a better man for having been afforded the opportunity to grow up in the military. To all the veterans out there, especially my dad, happy Veterans Day, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, and God bless America.